everyone? Welcome back to the channel, previews and vlogs. Alright, so today I got something else that I'm going to be doing on the Caddy. Now, the last video I did on the V-Sport was when I put it away for the winter, which it has not been driven. If you guys want to take a look at this thing, I got snow outside right now, as you guys saw me clean the snow up. And the car is still clean. It's been sitting in the garage, covered up. I actually still have half the cover on, but today I'm going to be doing a video on the spoiler of this car. Now, this is the spoiler the car comes with factory. Now, this thing is vinyl wrapped. Normally, it's the same color of the car, of course, and it's not really a spoiler, more of a trim piece, if you want to call it. I mean, it does come off the edge a little bit here, but I don't know if it has anything to do with aerodynamics or anything like that. So, I've been looking for a spoiler for the car, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to do a carbon fiber spoiler, or if I wanted just to go with a black spoiler, but since I got black wheels, black diffuser, black side splitters, black front splitters, I decided to go ahead and do just a regular black spoiler. Now, when it comes to spoilers, there's a lot of options out there. You get some on eBay, on Amazon, you get them from Cadillac themselves. So many options you get out there, and even on eBay or Amazon, there are a ton of options in there. A lot of those are just basic, 3M split. Basically, you just put them right over the one that's on there right now, and just 3M tape it down to the body of the car and hope it holds. And that was an issue with me. Even with the spoiler I did for my buddy Jamie on his ATS-V, that was pretty much a nice, decent looking spoiler, carbon fiber, and he got it for really cheap. It still was only 3M'd on there. Even his old spoiler was 3M that came from the factory, but I just don't know about 3M. I know I'm okay with decals being 3M'd on there, or even side flares on the car, whatever you want to put them on, and that's fine because it's going with the wind. And even if you go through a car wash, which I don't run my car through a car wash, but if you were to go to a car wash, it kind of goes with the rollers. To me, I've always had this fear. If I put a 3M stick-on spoiler on my car, that it's gonna fly off. Worst fear is it's gonna fly off, hit somebody's car, and I'm liable for it. So I've kind of held back on doing anything. Now, I've seen other people put spoilers on the cars. There's other YouTubers out there that have done also the same thing, and they have ones that bolt down, but they're small ones. They're kind of a very small one. I wanted something a little bit more pronounced, something to give the car a meaner look, I said, if you want to call it, or more of a aggressive look. And finally, Oliver from Savage Cadillac came out with a spoiler that actually works with the car, and there's a little bit of work you gotta do to it, but not much. And I'm gonna show you the spoiler right now. So this is a spoiler right here that comes from Savage Cadillac. Now, this I had painted. It comes, the way it actually comes is just a matte color. It's a matte finish, ready to paint. And I asked Eddie from Levi GFX if you could actually wrap the spoiler before I actually painted it. He said, no, it cannot be wrapped, it has to be painted first. At that sense, just made sense just to paint the whole thing black, and that's the way I'm gonna leave it. Now, again, it comes in a matte finish, so Oliver does have the option, if you want, to get painted before you send it out. I didn't take the option because I have a body shop that I work with, since I work at a dealer, that pretty much hooks me up sometimes, and I've been dealing with them for a while, which is Justice Body Shop, Justice actually Auto Repair and Collision. They're in Naperville, and they hooked me up for doing my spoiler. Thank you guys for that. So they painted that spoiler for me black, and it saved me some money there. Now, if you notice in the box, I have also the light, and this is a brand new light for the car. Now, of course, you can see that the light is actually smoked out. That's because Levi GFX, Eddie from Levi GFX, I should say, already tinted it off for me before I install it on the car. The reason I'm replacing the light is because on my car currently, my light is cracked, and it's got two missing LEDs. Pretty much they're not working because it's cracked right between them, so there's a separation there. And that's the reason I'm gonna be replacing the light. Now, normally, if you were under normal circumstances and you didn't have an issue with your light, you would be using the same light that you're taking out of the car to install it onto the spoiler. And again, with Oliver, with the actual spoiler, it has everything already with it. It has, of course, you get the spoiler, you get this nice little thank you card right there. And of course, you get the drill bit and the little screws what you'll be screwing the light to the spoiler. So there's a little bit of a modification you gotta do on this to get that to properly fit, but I'm gonna walk you guys through the steps and doing everything for the Savage Cadillac spoiler. But first, we gotta remove this. And also, by the way, I am gonna be doing the actual LED replacement for the license plate lights while I'm here. Now, I did not buy the ones from Savage Cadillac. I actually always do the Philips light bulbs. These are really good. I've got them on all my cars. So that's what we're gonna be doing. I'm gonna be replacing those. Those are easy. That'll be the last thing I do. But right now, let's go ahead and remove the spoiler. I'm gonna show you guys what tools you need. And to remove it, it is not that hard actually. So let's go ahead and get started on this. All right, so with the spoiler, by the way, you do get instructions exactly how to do it. It's pretty much a 3-step setup, and it's that simple. The hard part is gonna be separating the light from the old spoiler, from the factory spoiler. But again, I'm not gonna be doing that. I'll show you guys how to do it actually, but I don't need to do that because again, I've got a brand new light. All right, so here's what you're gonna need to do this job. You need a 7mm and an 8mm socket, 1/4-inch ratchet, an extension. This is kind of overdoing it. I can't find my smaller one, but that's if you don't have an automatic or a electric screwdriver, which that's what I'm gonna be using here. Some trim removal tools. So I try saying that 3 times fast. A small pick or a small screwdriver, needle nose pliers, and of course some 3M tape. That is pretty much all you need for this install. So let's go ahead and get this thing removed. All right, so first step to this process is gonna be removing these 2 pieces here, and these actually come out very easily. For this piece here, you're gonna use that little screwdriver that I told you to get, or a little pick. Pop that little plastic piece out of there, and that's where you're gonna use the little 7mm to remove that. This piece here is actually very simple. You could use a trim removal tool to get this out, or in my case, it just pops right out. Once you get that out, next step you gotta first do is just use the screwdriver or the actual ratchet and socket to remove that small screw from inside there. And then go ahead and pull this straight out. Okay, so once that's done, next step is gonna be just to basically you wanna remove the insulator from here. Now to remove the insulator is fairly easy, but you still gotta be careful. There are tabs in here that are held on to the trunk. Problem is that those tabs, you gotta find them, because if you pull on it, you are gonna get stuck with a tab on there that's gonna get you stuck onto the trunk and not to the insulator. You wanna make sure you pull every single one of them out with the insulator. So you can use a trim removal tool. In my case, again, I've done this before, and I'm gonna show you what happened when I just pulled on the insulator and not on the tab. So what you wanna do here is basically you wanna find the tabs, pull back on it, and you wanna find the tab with your fingers, and then hold on to the tab and pull straight out. And you're gonna do that all the way around the trunk until the whole thing comes down. So here are the tabs I'm talking about. These are little tabs. So when you're putting your hand in there, just put a finger right on here and then pull straight out. Because what happens is, if you notice I'm missing a tab right here, is you get stuck with one on the trunk just like this one is here. And I've tried gluing this piece right here, tried gluing this right back onto the actual insulator, and it won't stick anymore. So that's the problem I have when I did this the first time. So just make sure you put your finger on the little tab right here and pull straight out. Okay, so once you get the insulator fully out, next thing is gonna be to remove and unplug the actual light from the harness. And you do that by just pressing on the button on the right side of it and pulling out the connector. All right, so once that's disconnected, we're gonna go ahead and take out the 8mm screws. There are 4 of them. They're marked in these locations here, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Gonna remove those. All right, last step to remove this, use your needle nose pliers. There is a blue clip right in here. You're gonna wanna press that down using your pliers and then just push up on it, and then the spoiler comes right off. All right, so now that we got that off, first thing I'm gonna do is clean this off. I don't wanna put anything back on this dirty part of here. Look how dirty that is. Of course, that's probably been off maybe once in its life, that's about it. So we're gonna clean this off real quick to make it look nice before we put the new light and spoiler back in there. put the new spoiler on and start setting everything up. This is the old spoiler, and now what you need to do to remove this spoiler from the light, which you would need actually to install back in the car, is going to be to separate them. It's hooked up with some 3M inside of here. So you're gonna kind of have to lift this up and separate it. Now, best way to do that is taking a heat gun, heating it up, and then kind of removing it. And here is where this light is cracked and why I'm replacing it. Right there, look at that crack right there. It goes all the way through to that actual tab, and that's why it doesn't work. So 2 lights right here don't work. Of course, you saw that earlier. So that's why I'm replacing this light. Now, it's still good, so I might just throw it on eBay or something, you know, mention that there's 2 lights burned out. Or if you guys want to hit me up, if one of you guys want to buy it, I'll sell it for really cheap. Again, 2 lights are not working, but again, I don't know who wants a light that half works, or partially works, I should say. So I'm gonna do that just for you guys to show you exactly how to separate the light from the factory spoiler. We're gonna start heating up on this very corner over here. And very easily with your pry tools or your trim removal tools, start pushing the tool inwards and trying to get it out very slowly. Be patient with it, don't force it out. And we're gonna go do that all the way throughout the light. So this thing fought me all the way, but here it is. So this is pretty much what you're left with. This is the old spoiler right here. That's all it is, just a plastic piece, nothing hooked up to it, and your light. Now at this point, where it becomes more of a pain is now you gotta pretty much take off all the tape if you're gonna be using this light, the original light. If your light's still good, and again, just be careful when you're prying it not to crack it. If you do, especially in the light area, you will end up having to replace the light. Mine's already cracked, like I said already, so I actually don't need this. I did this for you guys to show you how pretty much what you gotta do to start and get these 2 separated. It's a bunch of 3M tape and it pretty much fights you all the way. You can use a screwdriver to kind of pry a little bit in there. Just be careful when you're prying, because you don't want to damage this, because you may need this in the future if you want it and not. And again, just because it's all plastic, you don't want to crack anything on here. All right, so once you get that separated, it's time to set up the new one. I don't need this one, so I'm gonna just throw this to the side. All right, so now that you got all the adhesive off, in my situation, of course, again, new light, so we gotta put the tape back on here, all throughout the side here. Now, you are gonna be drilling holes into this to secure it even more to the actual spoiler, but again, the adhesive is gonna give it some more security on there, and that's one of my biggest thing is so this thing doesn't come flying off even though it's gonna be screwed down. So we're gonna put tape all around here, and then we're gonna set it onto the spoiler. All right, so now that we're done prepping the light, let's put the spoiler up here and get everything cleaned up in the mating surface where the light is gonna go before we take the tape off and take the actual film of the tape off and put it on there. You wanna make sure this area is clean, and of course, then we're gonna put the light right on there, glue it on, and then drill the holes and screw it in. All right, so the next step after this, what you're gonna wanna do is go ahead and mock up the light. Don't take the film off the tape yet. Just mock up the light, see where you're gonna put it, because the light's gotta fit between here and here, these 2 spots here. And you wanna make sure you kinda just put it right in the center, and you don't have anything showing, any of the plastic from the actual inside part of the light showing out of there. I wanna make sure that the light part, the red part, is showing, like right there, especially push down on it slightly just so you get a better feel of it. And that's pretty much where you're gonna have to kind of get a good feel for it. Now, before you remove the film, my suggestion is heat up the spoiler. So when you push it down, push the actual light down and finally glue it in, it sticks a lot better. Now with that being held in, then you could drill in the screws for a better and more secure fit. set pretty much. So he gives you enough screws, which is, I think is a total of 12 screws. 2 go up here, 2 up here as well, and then 1 on each one of, and you can see the sections right here, how it splits this up, 1 on each section. A total of 12 screws is what you get. Not hard to drill it in, especially once you already set it with tape on there. It's not gonna go anywhere. You're able to drill it in a lot easier, and it's instead of trying to just hold it down with just regular, just by your hand and trying to drill it in. So I would suggest put the tape on there again, 3M adhesive again. I'll put the link in the description where you get this, and that's it. So now we're all set to mount this back on the car. But first thing I'm gonna do is, now I'm gonna mock it up and see how it's gonna look on the car. So let's go ahead and take a look and see that before I bolt everything down and everything else like that. All right, so. All right, so here it is. Final finished product. That thing looks amazing. I love the way it looks. I love the way it comes out. And again, that's why I trusted when I did it from Savage Cadillac. Look at this. Again, it's not bolted down, but once it bolts down with the factory hardware, I don't have to have anything that's aftermarket. I don't have to drill another bolt in there or use different type of nuts to put it in. It's all gonna be used with the factory hardware. It's gonna sit flush against the body of the car. I love the way how the light kind of is inside and not just sticking out all the way out here. How the actual spoiler comes out. Look at that. That looks awesome. I love the way it looks. All right, so now it's just mocked up, and now I just got to pretty much finish putting everything together. One thing you do want to do, of course, afterwards, I'm going to do it right now, is I'm going to bolt down everything, reconnect everything, but then I'm going to show you guys we have to actually change or increase the tension for the trunk, because right now, because the spoiler is heavier, the trunk doesn't open like it should and move up on its own. So now we're gonna have to increase the tension of the spring of the springs for the trunk because of the weight of the new spoiler. So now we're gonna go ahead in here, and you're gonna use your actual trim removal tools to pry these little tabs out. They're a little pain, you gotta kinda wiggle them out, but once they pop out, you're able to move the insulator out of the way and the spring is right there. So actually on this side, it is already moved up to the last notch. You can actually move up. Other than that, there's a hole right here, which we don't want it there, but I'm gonna go ahead and check this side now. Let me see if that one's the same way. If not, I have to move that. If not, this spoiler is kind of heavy. The trunk's not going all the way up automatically. It won't bother me as much, honestly, but I do want that feature. But if it doesn't, if it's already to the last setting on tension, I might move it to the last hole just to see if it changes anything. But other than that, honestly, I don't even think I go in the trunk of this car that much. So anyways, let's go ahead and I'm gonna check this side now. All right, it seems like that one is also at the last setting there. When you are actually increasing tension, we're gonna move the spring forward 1 notch. When you're doing this, make sure you hold on to the spring on the back end and not release it, because it will be a pain to put the spring back on if you release the spring. So we'll do that to this side, and then we'll test it out, see if the trunk opens like it should, automatically goes up. If it doesn't, we have to go to the other side and do the other side as well. All right, so my camera died while I was doing this, so I'm finished recording on my iPhone, which is still an awesome camera. I'm not gonna lie. I recorded the last video on the iPhone that still looked good as well. Anyways, spoiler's all done. Thing looks awesome. I love the way it looks. One thing I didn't think about is that if my car cover is gonna fit over that spoiler and back down to the bottom of it. And it wasn't that hard. I think the hardest part was taking the tape off. But the thing looks amazing. Love the way it looks, love the way it turned out. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Again, thanks Savage Cadillac for coming out with something like this that it could be bolted down with the factory bolts and screws and everything else. Looks awesome, and it fits the body of the car perfectly. That's why I love all the stuff that he does, because it all fits without a problem. You pay a little bit more money for his stuff, but again, it fits the car perfectly fine. So I'm gonna leave you guys with some shots here of the car and how it looks at the end. Again, thank you guys for watching. If you liked the video, hit a thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on it and share this video. I'll see you guys on my next video. Take care.